Howdy y'all. I've been getting into listening to music on many different formats, and right now my focus is on MiniDisc. This is definitely one of the harder formats for me to find media for right now, just because it didn't really take off in the US, mostly Japan. But I love how compact and, well, retro-futuristic this stuff looks. Now for some people it kind of looks like a floppy disk, but I actually have one of those right here, and as you can see, MiniDisc are a little bit smaller than floppy disks. They also hold more data too. One of the talking points of this format was it was supposed to be close to CDs in terms of quality. You couldn't exactly get lossless on a lot of these, but it was pretty close, and at much smaller size. Which is kind of impressive considering this format came out in 1992. In fact, the disc itself is actually smaller than a GameCube disc. Granted, you can fit a bit more data on that than this, but still for the size. And for reference, this is the size of what a UMD is compared to MiniDisc. Yeah, you'll constantly hear people call like these ones or these ones MiniDiscs, but it was this format. Now, finding stuff in this format has been a little bit difficult because it never really did take off in the US. It was here, but it wasn't that popular, so a lot of the stuff you see is going to be in the Japanese market. But a lot of independent labels have gone and taken to the format for its retro-futuristic look. Most of the music you'll find there is probably going to be stuff like vaporwave or video game soundtracks and stuff. This particular one has a lot of remixes from the Persona series. Now, I don't know how much more of that we'll be seeing, because Sony actually went and discontinued carrying these discs this year in 2025. They were supporting writable discs up until, well, this year. So when the news broke that they were discontinuing it, naturally, I decided to buy a box. So I got a couple here to hold me over, and the nice thing about these is that they are re-recordable. So if I end up wanting to overwrite something on one of these things, I actually can. And that's the reason why I got this particular one. This is an MZ N420D NetMD Walkman. It's part of the, I can't remember if it's called P-Psych or Psych, but this particular line of devices from Sony was aimed more towards a younger market. In fact, I also have a CD Walkman from the same line. But funny enough, this isn't actually the first MiniDisc player I bought, and I'll get into why I bought this particular one in a bit. Yeah, a couple weeks back, I was on Facebook Marketplace and found this. Oh boy, it doesn't fit on camera. I have to go wide-angle lens for this shot, but I found a box that contains a MiniDisc player and a recording deck. Looks like they were also offering a car kit at the time, so I might have to see if I can find one of those one day. I wanted to pick that up because it had two things in it, and I wanted to add the recording deck to my Sony Tower of Power. I got a short showing some of the different electronics I have in that thing. It isn't brand new in the box because it's missing the headphones and the MiniDisc that came with it, but it almost is complete. It did come with the remote and the original styrofoam. And here it is. It kind of looks like a typical VCR, except it's got a little MiniDisc guy right here. Place for me to plug in some headphones, volume adjustment. And this particular thing was made so you could record MiniDiscs and listen to them back on your player. It's got some recording levels and a way for you to look at your tracks. I/O on this is very simple. We just got a line in and out for analog and also for digital. I'll readjust the stuff that's in my entertainment cabinet in a minute, but let's look at the MD Walkman it came with. Box isn't exactly new or mint, but it's still nice to have. This particular one is the MZ E40. It's a little bit longer than the other one. I believe this one is older. It's got the display and stuff on the side, and this one takes 2 AA batteries while the other one just takes 1. It does have options for mega bass though, which I'm sure is just an EQ adjustment. And they're showing off a vertical design in it, which, oh yeah, it's kind of cool. This one I put in my front pocket. I know this one works because I've actually been using it for a little bit, but I don't know if this one does yet. So I should probably throw some batteries in and try it out real quick. Oh, the LCD kind of looks weird on camera, but I swear it doesn't look like that in real life. Yep, it identified this as the Persona album. Let me go rub some earbuds real quick. I'm not going to output this audio in the video because I don't want to get copyright struck, but I will be doing a little demo later. Yeah, it works. Sounds pretty good, actually. I might like the sound quality from this a little bit more than this one. Ooh, this would be good to try out the mega bass. Ooh, that's kind of clear. I was expecting it to be a bit muddy. This one's going to be really good for electronic music. Sure, it takes 1 more AA, and also it's a little bit taller, but I don't know, I kind of vibe with this guy. So you had a couple of options to be able to get music onto a MiniDisc. Some of these Walkman variants did have a audio in you could use to record stuff, but this particular one did not. The E40 was exclusively a player, not a recorder, which is why I'm guessing it got bundled with that home deck recorder. So the idea would be you would use the deck to record audio by taking like a CD Walkman and feeding that into the deck. You'd have to be recording it back in real time too. So if you wanted to listen to a full 80-minute album, you had to have that thing running for 80 minutes. And also if your CD had any scratches or imperfections, it would actually show up in the recording for the MiniDisc. Now on a lot of the recorders, you could actually go back and mark where the tracks are and even like add the name. So even though you're recording in the same way that you would record cassettes, you had the option to change the table of contents, so you could actually go and skip tracks and go back and forward. For tapes, you kind of have to listen to the entire thing at once, or if you rewind or fast forward, you have to kind of just guess where you are. You can't really skip tracks. Or rather, skipping tracks isn't as easy as just pressing a button and you're immediately at the next track. So it's not exactly a hard way to get music on these things, but later in the early 2000s, they released a line that made it a lot easier. But a little bit earlier, I mentioned how this is my second MiniDisc player. And the reason why I picked this particular one up is because it's a NetMD player, meaning it's got one of these. Because with these NetMDs and the ability to use a USB, you could actually hook this up to a computer. And using Sony's Sonic Stage application actually allowed you to go and write music to this kind of like it was a drive. So in a way, you would be burning music to this on your computer, much like you'd be burning a CD. So even though I already owned a MiniDisc player and a MiniDisc recorder, I kind of wanted the convenience of just being able to burn stuff off of my computer. So hey, why don't we give that a go by trying to actually put some music on this thing? There's a web application called Web MiniDisc Pro that allows you to actually put music on a MiniDisc player using the USB cable. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for Firefox, so I'm gonna have to use Chromium. I don't get my fun theme, but it should be fairly straightforward. Let's see here, let's plug in the cable. We'll put a disc in. Got a blank one here that's unused. And let's go ahead and connect. Failed to execute open on USB device, access denied. Okay, let's see here. Watch me have some trouble with this because I'm running it on Linux. Looks like I need to install a couple more packages. I'll see if I can throw this guide in the description. Okay, just entered a few stuff to the command line. Let's see if it can connect now. Wow, easy. Oh man, I love open source stuff. Ooh, retro mode. Oh yes! Oh, I love this. Oh, this is so good. It's perfect for me. Man, the guy that made this knows his audience. Thank you, Mr. Stefano. Though the feature is still in beta, so I swapped back over here just so I can initially learn the program. Looks like everything copied over fine, so let's bring out a speaker. And keeping with the Sony theme, let's use a Dream Machine. Okay, here we go. Well, time to listen to some royalty-free music curated by one of my favorite Aussies. Oh wow, Mega Bass makes a difference. Of course, it probably doesn't sound the best because it's on an alarm clock speaker designed for, well, iPods and CDs, but it still gives us a decent idea of what it is. I want to try a difference between the normal mode and the Mega Bass mode a little bit more, so let's get to a different song. And while my mic isn't really the freakish ears on the stand, it's still kind of nice to hear the difference. I think though it's time we go and take that recording deck and try to get inside this tower of power and see how that sounds. At least that's what I would say if this thing was actually working. Yeah, after getting it installed, I noticed an error. You can put any disk in it and it'll eject it just fine, but whenever it tries to read the table of contents, it just runs up with an error and spits back out. If I had to guess what was wrong, it's probably the laser, because I tried this with multiple different mini discs. So I'll need to get around to fixing this another time. Well, this is a pretty fun media format. Would I recommend somebody now get into it? Well, not really. It's going to be a lot harder to find these now, and it's not the most convenient format. But if you're wanting to take more ownership over your music and kind of have local offline copies, maybe go with the thing that actually did end up defeating MiniDisc. Modding these though, of course, because, well, you can do a lot more of these. I myself have a couple more discs I can work with, so I'm going to go make some more tracks. That'll be it for now though. So long, y'all.